everybody, welcome back to the Hard Angle Barn YouTube channel. We just started this project on a 240 and I totally forgot to start filming, but this is the car that in one of my earlier videos I built an SR24. If I actually walk around front, there's the SR20 I built. It's in the car. I'm taking the oil out of it right now because the lower oil pan has a leak right there, and I need to get the new one put on because the old one was kinked by the old engine depot. But we're in the middle of the project. Big fat front mount intercooler. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna change that lower oil pan. The ABS module on this was stolen, so I'm gonna just bypass that, just do some 180s and put new lines on it. We're doing this is a Zenki 240. We're doing a Kouki front end swap, and the back has some holes in the trunk from a drift wing that used to be on it. I'm gonna be using all the stuff here to fix all the holes in the trunk and repaint it black, just so it kind of matches the carbon fiber hood that's going on here. But that pretty much brings you up to speed. We just started about an hour ago. Let's get started and see what I remember to film. This whole trunk's covered in plastic dip. It's all scratched and ruined, so we're just gonna keep peeling off all the plastic dip. And then here's all those holes I was talking about. Some of them are pretty sizable. This engine is so clean. This is the oil I just took out of it. I drove it in here and I drained the oil back out because it leaks oil. Look at that. Look at how clean that is. It's like brand new, even though it's been running the engine for probably 30 minutes. So a little update on the 240. I got the trunk off. The old oil pan's off. Here's where it leaked. That's where it leaked, and it's kinked. You can see the right here where it's kinked. This is where they bent it with a screwdriver when the original rebuilders did the engine before I did, but this pan didn't work. So I got a brand new OEM Nissan pan. It's on there. It's curing. So in 24 hours I'll tighten it down. And finally got the taillight out of this trunk. This is so hard to get out because they have it glued in so that it doesn't leak. And unfortunately, I didn't want to break it, so it took a while to get off. And I'm going to try, because nobody around here has dip dissolver, I'm going to try to use liquid wrench. I've been told that liquid wrench will dissolve plastic dip kind of the same way the dip dissolver does, so I'm going to give it a shot because I want to get this thing done and stay on track and not be waiting days and days and days for stuff to get here to finish things. So we're gonna try a liquid wrench, see what happens. Need that. It's cold outside today. Hopefully you guys can hear me all right. It's raining super hard outside. So right now what I'm doing is the MAF sensor that's over here. I'm extending the harness. It's about a foot too short to fit, so I'm adding about a foot into the harness. I'm gonna solder it in, heat shrink it. I'm gonna do it all correctly so it lasts a really long time. And then hopefully we can figure out the running issues with this MAF. The intake has this extra hose, and I'm not sure what it's for, but I'm gonna plug it and then run it, see if it makes a difference, because obviously if it has a hose that leaks air around the MAF, in technicality, it's not gonna run right. So using some liquid wrench and a razor blade, which admittedly left a couple of scratches. I'm not even sure if you can see this on camera. Focusing in. Yeah, you can kind of see little scratches, but using a liquid wrench and a razor blade dissolved all that plastic dip. But I got it in primer, and we're gonna start filling these holes. Now this primer is nice and cured. It's probably not the best weather for painting. It's probably about 40 degrees out right now, but making it work. So walking over to the front of the car, I got wires ran to the battery in the back. This terminals looks good. Runs through the drain plug. Cut a little bit of slits into the drain plug boot. Coming up here to the front, I got a distribution block and all the old wires run into this block, and then that O gauge. Gonna come right up here and meet it, and then I'm gonna run it down along the bottom of the car. I know most people do it on the inside, but it's a little easier running on the bottom. It's up above the frame rails anyway, so. And if it is ever to short out somehow and it's not popping a breaker, the wire is outside of the car, so any hot melty wire action is again outside. You're not gonna have to worry about burning the inside of your car down to the ground. Got the first coat of Bondo glass on. The big holes have patches in them. Little holes are just filled with the Bondo glass. I don't know, about an hour I'll let that sit, and then I'll get it sanded and do a regular coat of Bondo of it. Hit the whole thing with some spot putty and get it primed again. So a little progress report on the 240. I finally remembered to buy electric tape so I can finish up this harness. Battery wires are sitting up here. I just have to attach them to the bottom of the car properly. Getting ready to start working on the trunk's Bondo. The fenders have showed up, and the barn is so full of stuff. I'm in the middle of so many projects. Well, it's getting dark. I just got this trunk all sanded up. Got to do a little bit of spot putty here. It actually came out way better than I thought, but everything's nice and smooth. This is done with 320 grit, so it's ready for a coat of primer. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result for honestly doing technically my first solo body job. Alright, so it's a new day. You see my breath? It's 34 degrees out. I got the stoves going, but it's still not warm yet. So update, I just have one bolt left in this fender that I got to take out before I can take this off. It's too cold to get on the floor right now to show you, so I'm gonna put a picture up on the screen of the bottom of this fender. It's all crumpled into just rusty garbage, so I'm gonna have to do some cutting down there to get that fender off. So I put this bolt back in it so it stopped knocking the top half off. The brake lines I got done. I'll give you a better shot of those in a second. Cleaned up the wire harness. The trunk is all one color, no holes in it. It only has like 2 coats of white primer on it, so you can kind of see through it. You can see it's kind of patchy. I gotta get another can. Also, I'm painting when it's like 45 degrees, so I'm actually surprised it's even coming out well at all. Working on getting this fender off. The new Kouki fenders are back there. Whoops, still not good at that. Waiting on a friend of mine that owns a car to bring up the hood and bumper and stuff. The lights and all that right there. And yeah, it's coming along well. We're damn near almost done. A couple more things. The battery cable, yeah, that's ran up to about the firewall. It's in the trunk, length to the battery, and then under the car, you can see it runs all the way. It's all the way down there by the firewall. Once it warms up, I'll get back on the floor and finish up the battery wires and get them into the engine bay. For anybody wondering, the only reason that I ran the battery cables on the bottom of the car instead of on the cab, or like through the inside of the car and through the firewall, is because they're 2 O-gauge wires. They're big, they're bulky, and I'm running the ground as well instead of just grounding it to the body in the trunk, because I wanted the best possible ground we could get. So I'm going to run the O-gauge ground from the battery all the way to the engine ground, and then make a second body ground, so we have the best possible grounding and we're not going to have any issues with bad power. And yeah, it's coming together. We're getting close to the finish line. Let me get you a close-up shot of those brakes. I'm pretty proud of those. Honestly, I think the part I like the most is this like 3-dimensional bend. I was pretty happy with that one. But as soon as I get this, I don't have a 12mm Allen style. As soon as I get that, I can get the wheels off, start bleeding the brakes. 2 bolts came out. All the other ones are either already broken off or broke off. But fender's off. It's time to stick the blue boys on. I'm gonna have to get a shot of these out in the sun once they're installed, because he's probably gonna get these painted over. Sad face. There's a lot of flake in this paint. It's really pretty. Well, the first Kouki panel is on, and it's got some, actually, I just broke my ankle on the trunk. It's got some really good, like the gap is really good. It sits really flush. This sits real nice. Doesn't stick up at all. Looks pretty good. And I had to tap new threads into this hole because they were, I mean, threads are just destroyed. And in the meantime, I got to realign the door that was hanging weird, and it would like jump up every time you tried to shut it. So I got a fender and a headlight on this side, and the little side marker light on the fender. It looks pretty good, and I finally got this fender off. I mentioned it was pretty mangled underneath. That's why I couldn't get it off. The bolts were kind of bent. I got this all straightened up underneath. And while this may still look pretty bad, I'm gonna put up an image right here of what it looked like before and after. So after a lot of straightening, it'll fit a new fender, so I can stick the other fender on. And then it's just bumper and hood that I'll be waiting for the guy to deliver for this car, and it's going along pretty well today. All right, well, with the other fender, headlight on and everything, this side actually went, even though with all the bending and stuff I had to do, none of the bolts broke on this side, so this side went way easier. Kouki conversion is really starting to come together. Like I said, hood and bumper, and it's done. And a couple little things to finish up. We're gonna see this thing move again, but it's looking sweet. I'm kind of jealous. I've always wanted a Kouki S14. This thing is starting to come together, and it's looking real good. Well, I started taking off this top layer of Bondo stuff. As you can see, I did a layer of color. Noticed a couple imperfections. Let the paint sit for about half an hour. Stuck some Bondo spot filler on top of it. I don't know what happened, but it did all this cracking and stuff. And it's super gummy. It's been sitting for like an hour, and it's still super gummy. It won't dry. And this actually was from when I was putting the first layer of the Bondo stuff on. It made the dry paint smear off. Not sure why, but all I know is I'm just gonna take it all the way back down to bare metal again. Man, this sucks. This is gonna put me back an extra day or so. Real quick though, I do an update on the front end. The carbon fiber hood showed up, and needs a polish. You can see it's not perfectly clear. See how there's like imperfections and stuff. I did just clean it off with degreaser and everything. It's just this stuff's here, listen how rough it is. It needs clay barred and then polished. But front bumpers here too. I'm still debating on filling all that stuff or not. But yeah, car's starting to look pretty mean. Well, it's back down to base, and some of the stuff really wasn't sanding off for some reason, so I'm gonna let it harden overnight and see what I can do tomorrow. So this is after last night's snowstorm. You can see how deep it is. It's up over the bumpers. I mean, geez, it's almost up to the suspension on the bottom of my truck. It's halfway knee deep on me. That's a little better, isn't it? Still buried though. Oh yeah, and the truck's stuck now. Oops, bald rear tires. Unsurprisingly, I got the truck unstuck. Not very surprising, even with bald tires. It's unstoppable. Well, even though we're dug out here, this immense amount of snow may slow us down since the barn is, you know, surrounded by grass. I can't really shovel it, so I think this is a good point to leave the video, and hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.